you talked about signing with Barstool. So, you know, you created the show. You created Bussin' with the Boys. You're learning as you're going around the league how even your peers are paying attention to it and listening to you. And I agree. I don't know of a better compliment when somebody who's in your industry says, I listen to your show. How did you get approached by Dave or anybody at Barstool, or did you take the idea to them? Because that was kind of what put you guys over, I think.
So when we started the pod, I remember when I'm talking Taylor through this and the importance of owning your IP, and we're going to be an athlete-owned podcast. Like that's not out there. That's not really out there yet. I think JJ Redick, he had to rebrand from The Ringer, JJ Redick's podcast, to The Old Man and the Three because they wouldn't give him his IP.
Yeah.
And so at first it's like, oh, we're not going to go with anybody because we're just going to own it. Nothing's going to happen. Then you learn the partnerships that, hey, you can own your IP. But to answer your question, when Vrabel cutting his off was going viral, when Jalen Ramsey, that was hitting the scene and going viral, they were fairly like within a month. Barstool's account DM'd Bussin's and said, would you guys be interested in a conversation? And our guy who was running social media at the time, Matt Neely, RIP, he had passed away that year. And he's fired up because he's a stoolie. He's a Barstool guy. He's like, hey, Erica, the CEO, and they want to get on the phone with you. I remember being excited about it. Then it was like the stuff you say, like, no, we're not going to sign with nobody, yada, yada, yada. You're just kind of excited about they want to talk to you on the phone. We jump on the phone, and I didn't realize Erica was Erica, a female. I'm like, oh, what's up, Eric? And it's like, Gaz was on the phone too. There's a few of them. He's like, oh, it's Erica. I was like, oh, Erica, my fault. They're like, what are you up to? I'm like, oh, just watching my fish tank on my TV screen right now, like just keeping it light. And they talk about like, hey, would you guys be interested in a partnership? It's like, yeah, I don't think anything's off the table. Like, what do you like about us, or what do you see in us that wants us to get on the phone? And like, man, we don't want to change anything that you guys are doing. We just want to pour gasoline on it. If you want to stay in Nashville, if you want to, however you book guests, like we essentially want to give you a bigger platform, and we just want to pour gasoline on your fire because we think what you guys have is special. We think your guys' chemistry, like the look, the feel, and everything is, we love it. And so as we're getting, it's like, okay, then we try and figure out how serious they are by shooting them an email like, hey, if you guys are serious about this, we'd love for you guys to fly to Nashville if you can, and we can talk in person. So they immediately, within 5 minutes of that email, they respond with dates that they'll fly. Yeah. Erica, the CEO, and Gaz will fly to Nashville. So it's like, okay, they are into us. And we picked a date to where Taylor, on one of Taylor's off days in training camp. And they fly in. We sit down at a True Foods to chop it up. We don't really talk negotiating. We don't really talk terms or nothing like that. We just kind of get to know each other, which was interesting because when I told you that I said no to the Jets because we had Sean Johnson to film the next day. Well, that day that I said no to the Jets, the Saints called that third time. And I didn't answer my agent until we did the Sean Johnson episode. I was like, sorry, I was working out. Like they want to get you on the first flight out. That day so happened to be the day we met Barstool. I wanted to meet with Barstool. So I was like, if we could do it early the next morning, I'll go to the Saints. And so all that stuff it's like the stars aligned for that conversation to happen. And we sit down and we just talk shop, and we kind of told them that here's our plan. We have probably 15 episodes in the bank. Like we had to have some bye weeks, what we refer to them as. Yeah. But we kind of want to run its course throughout the season. We really want to focus on ball. Like, even though I was about to go to New Orleans, so it's like, I want to focus on the season. I was running the intros just in, like, we'd be in my hotel room that they put me in. I would just be in the closet with that little, I forget what it's called, but that like microphone basically. Yeah, the recorder. I'd just be in there like doing the ads and doing the intro. Like, you guys will enjoy this episode. Make sure you subscribe, rate 5 stars, all that. Yeah. And, we were like, we'll just focus on this year, and then maybe we can circle back toward the end of the year. We circled back toward the end of the year, started talking terms, and then we finalized the deal at the Super Bowl that next year in February of 2020. February of 2020. So that is how that deal came about. Like there were other shoppers, but it was kind of like smaller media crews that were out in LA, that nothing that like a national, like a big one, like a Barstool or like a Bleacher Report, ESPN, nothing like that. Barstool was really, on to us for that entire year. So that's how it worked out with them.
Yeah, and so I think that was a great move by you guys because it kind of legitimized what you were doing a little bit, and they did pour some gas on that fire. A couple quick questions about that. So gambling, sports books.
Yep.
Gambling, sports books opened up this year in North Carolina, so we've been in it. And we've got our own gambling podcast around NASCAR and so forth called Dirty Modo. And
ooh, nice.
It's pretty fun, but gambling on racing, it's all a new idea. Gambling, as far as legal gambling in North Carolina, is also a new idea. So it's a good space for us to sort of see where we can grow. But that's Barstool in a nutshell, right? And they've been involved in sports books for many years. And so how interesting is that for you guys, having been players, right? Like, I couldn't even be on DraftKings when I was driving race cars because, you're as an athlete, you're not even allowed to have an account.
Mm-hmm.
But, so having come from, I guess, being on one side of it, now switching over, you're interviewing players, right? So you're talking to players as a journalist for the most part. I mean, it's weird for all of us, I think, to call ourselves journalists, having no fucking background other than doing our podcast. But we are, in a media person, right? And so getting into the sports book, and I see you guys out there promoting that part of it. But I mean, I see you. I don't know about you, Taylor, but I see him all. Not recently for some weird reason, but
the football season.
Yeah, right. So during like college football, man, you're like got your parlays you're pushing out there, and you're taking losses and
mostly losses.
Listen,
is that funny, JP?
But I don't have to do that. See, like I have my podcast. Those guys, will give their advice. I'm not giving advice. I'm not sitting there going, dude, I would bet on this guy, or I'd bet on this guy, or this is how I would play this weekend. You are, right? And so that is, you got to know, man. Just like, that's a very dicey space, right?
Yeah.
And so how do you feel like how's that experience been? I guess I'm asking because it may be a space I'm in one day.
So it sounds like we need to talk Dale into doing the space.
Yeah.
Everybody at Dirty Mo Media, we need Dale to talk about gambling, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm apprehensive, man, because I don't know.
We sat down with Stephen A. Smith, and he was talking about having relationships with players while also being objectively evaluating them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you are just open and honest about how you feel about their production, then there's nothing to be there's nothing they can be upset about because you're objectively saying this guy raced well or he did not race well. This is what he did wrong in my opinion. This is what he did right in my opinion.
Yeah.
If you keep that way and don't keep it personal at all, then if they're upset about anything, that's their own ego getting in the way. You just lock in a little Lucy.
Yeah.
Nice man.
Are you a nicotine guy?
No. I used to smoke, but
Lucy's?
I quit a long time ago.
Lucy?
No, I'm good.
Those things right there?
Is that your...
Vanilla latte in your mouth, brother.
Because you had to quit dipping, or
no? I actually started with.
What
the? We joke about. I saw one Huberman video, and Taylor he had been trying to get me on it. He sends me Huberman stuff like the science behind nicotine and being beneficial for brain performance. And that's all I needed to see was a TikTok clip, and now I'm into it a little bit.
Yeah, all right.
But the gambling.
Yeah. Sorry.
We do 2 gambling shows during the fall. We do
Yeah.
Bet the Bus, which is a college gambling show, and then Slips and Picks 500, which that title will probably change for those of you wondering who watch the show because it just conflicts with the actual S&P 500.
Yeah.
And that's an NFL gambling show. And it is tough when you start saying things about people and maybe a San Francisco quarterback you say you've heard they're not very good, and then they murder you for it because you know these guys.
Yeah.
I had a thing where I said Brock Purdy's not the man. I was told that. And sure enough, he starts going off and people are at my neck about it. Christian McCaffrey's texting me. George Kittle's texting me telling me, hey, you're an idiot for saying that.
Yeah.
And so that does make it a little difficult sometimes.
What about making a parlay, right? Just something simple as this. Okay, I know this is silly, but what about making a parlay and putting it out there like this is my belief? Do you build your parlay?
Yeah, man.
And you're going to be like, hey, man, I believe this will happen?
Yes.
And then when it falls apart and it blows up in your face, like what's been your experience with that?
I mean, yeah, you never want to lose money, but people on the internet audience, like whatever it is, like failure is attractive. So when you lose your bet and then you have fun with losing your bet, there's almost a humanizing factor of relating to people because everybody, we're gambling. You're probably going to lose. Chances are you're probably going to lose. Yeah. But we have enough experience where we think we can put some of these things together. Sometimes they do hit. The playoff Willie parlays,
They do, but they're usually locks.
Yeah, it's like to me, it's like part of the game of the business of like social media and stuff too. Like you want to put your neck out there. It's a very popular thing that everybody does. So I like to put whatever my bets are that's going to be out there and ride those bets and talk about them heavy.
Yeah.
Kind of lip off or mouth the people who are against it.
Yeah.
And then when I lose, it's like, having fun with the losses, because ultimately you're trying to engage and relate with the fans and everything else. So the building parlays, I feel like, is easier than being like, we have our Bet the Boys parlay where it's like Kittle's going to have over 4.5 and 4.5 receptions, and Christian McCaffrey's going to have an anytime touchdown, and Derrick Henry's going to go off. And so I just have fun with it. Yeah. Like, and even if I'm like saying something like, if George doesn't get 4.5, best believe he'll have a text post game like, hey brother, great game out there. I'm glad you guys won. I kind of needed you to have 5 catches. I'm not going to tell you why, but maybe let's get in Shanahan's ear a little bit for next game. And so you just kind of like, you're just playing the relationship side of it all and having fun with it.
That is that's also something that I wanted. It's not really a question, but Will, your social media is like, you have built a persona on your X account, on your Twitter account. Like, there's this, if you tweet, people have like an expectation of what's coming.
There's a standard.
There's no fucking normal tweets with this guy.
No,
he's not. Hey, this, I did this yesterday. That was fun. There's none of that.
No.
I read yours, and you're basically just like the rest of us.
Yeah.
But this guy,
absolutely.
This guy is every tweet is like cutting edge.
There was a point when Will, I think, got over 100,000 followers, and we were sitting there and we were talking about social media, and Will goes,
this was around like the same time, I think.
And Will goes, I think I finally found my thing.
Yeah.
I think I finally found my lane that I really enjoyed. I was like, yeah, hell yeah, brother.
Yeah.
So what do you, that's just comes easy to you?
I don't know.
I mean, taking people into the closet and putting people in the trash can, and
I like
messing with people that are, messing to all the haters online. You seem to have a lot of fun with that.
Yeah, I mean, because everybody goes through, like, Taylor talks about like typing your name in, and there are times playing on the Redskins, like the fan base, as you know, can be pretty vicious. But I don't know, once I got into the back end of my career, and it didn't bother me as much because I kind of knew the direction I was kind of going with everything. People like clapbacks. People like you having fun. You can tell, like, when you're resistant, actually, responding personally, like, you just see that people are like, hey, there's really no need to, like, why are you even bothering with this? And they're right. It's almost like, why are you getting so mustard up?
But if you turn it into a joke.
But yeah, if you have some fun with it and turn it into a joke, and then I kind of just grew to realize, like, again, X is my favorite app. Twitter turning into X has always been kind of my favorite app. I love the comments. I love how witty people are and creative. I love the memes. I love video responses to things. And if say I have something that I have typed up and I'm like, okay, this could be better in a video. How can I do that? Because as you know, like, it's weird, like, putting a screen on your face and being like, who am I actually talking to out there? But if I have fun with it, or if I figure out ways to have fun with it while still getting across the same message with whether it's enthusiasm or personality, to where people might not just read a few words and think like, okay, what does he mean by that? And then give their own spin on what I meant by that. Being in group chats, understanding the group chat humor, just busting balls with the boys. And it's like, I want to take that online. I want to take that online like it hadn't been done, but you see the way Dave Portnoy would have handled stuff with press conferences, and you listen, like, when Barstool or people that are experts in media are kind of giving advice, like, the algorithms and the people enjoy when your face is in front and you are the one talking. Trying to, like, get over that hump and just, I don't know, it's like bring it all together. And I just love some storytelling aspect. I love, like, some dry humor. I enjoy it, man. I love just finding creative things to have fun with. I love seeing what everybody talks about and then being like, okay, how can I involve myself with this? The all white versus all black team.
I know. Sometimes there's, like, you have a real unique knack for skirting into some spaces that could be potentially dangerous, canceling spaces, right? You know what I'm saying? But people know you, and a lot of people in your own industry and people you've played against and played with know you and know your sense of humor, right? And so, and and there's some great self-deprecation in there as well, which I appreciate. And so, but I always kind of wondered, like, how there's I think for me, I look at social media as a dangerous place that I got to be careful with, right? I can't go in there and just entirely be myself, right? Because will everybody be okay with that? And so I think a lot of people, especially mostly athletes, tend to approach it in the same way and approach it with some precaution.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas you're like, man, this is who I am.
Yeah.
I don't. And
just a racist guy from Missouri, man. Just tweet now.
No, I think, it's like self-deprecation. That's kind of important with it. It's like, me, like the locker rooms I've been in, my teammates know me. So there's a sense of like, okay, I know this could come off a certain way, but I know who I am and I know what I'm being about this. And then you kind of just see what happens. Like when I did the all white versus black thing, I didn't know. I was like, here could be a time where I find the line for real.
Right.
But you have those people like, laugh with you, and you realize that, with all the things that go on in our country, like it's one side, it's the other. Hey, what Harrison Butker said last week about homemakers and not being career women, like everybody takes it and runs. Like you're either that's insane or it's like, oh, there's some belief to it. And then all those people get mad at each other over it.
Yeah.
And it's like, we all talk about it. There's so many more people that are in the middle. And I think if you just embrace whatever's kind of happening, like whether it's both sides of the conversation, maybe you have a stance on one, but you're kind of handling it with whether it's self-deprecation or humor and fun. Like I just feel like that humanizes you with people, and people relate more to that because the majority of people who's watching your stuff isn't even engaging with you. Like they think like, okay, if I like this, maybe somebody will see it. Like they're not, the ones who enjoy you aren't going out of their way to drop in the comments and say something positive. It's usually the negative ones. But I'll get text on the side. It's like if I say something about maybe somebody or make fun of somebody at ESPN, like I'll get people on the side who are in that universe that like think it's hilarious and love it, whatnot, or the other that kind of like, stamps that approval. But it's like I don't know, I'm like feeling my way through some things because there are times where I'm like, okay, this could be a little, this could get a little dicey. But if it gets dicey, it's another opportunity to create or make another video or give more context to yourself in a fun way. That's like, okay, the boy's getting killed right now. Maybe Nebraska loses. I'm just laying out in the middle of the street or something like that. Like a way to go even more extreme to let people know like you're being lighthearted about everything and your intentions
you're not taking nothing too seriously.
Yes.
I think that's it's a unique quality that you have to be able to do that and do it without fear and with such, I don't know. It's a very rare personality trait that not a lot of people have, and I think it's serving you well now, but I think it'll continue to serve you well as your podcast and your brand gets bigger and bigger.
Thank you, Dale.
But I appreciate it, man.
It's how we got connected. Twitter.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a fan of Washington.
No, but man, I mean, I would.
Dude, our friendship is the craziest. If you hadn't
reached out,
is the craziest story. I'll just never forget when I realized I was going back and forth with D'Angelo Hall and Kevin Durant because Kevin Durant is a fan of Washington. Huge. And I was kind of being that, being myself. Like I was starting. I took over the starting job. We were having fun. We went on the run and we won the East, went to the playoffs. We were just on a run, and it was like one of those things like I just thought it was so cool that I was playing with D'Angelo Hall, who I had watched.
Dude.
And these guys that are like, I'm the signal caller, and you see Kevin Durant, I'm like, hey, D Hall. They were like going back and forth on Twitter. I was like, hey, D Hall, introduce your boy, but don't, seem cool about it. Like, don't make me seem desperate. Like while he's tagged in it. So he's like, Comp, I know you, man. And I'm just, I'm just like lighting up, being like, this is so sick. And then an article comes out the next day, and they talk about a couple of people that follow me, and you're one of them. And I'm thinking, Dale Jr. follows me. I go to your page, see that you're following me. I screenshot it. I send it to my strength coach, who Taylor referred to earlier, because he's a massive Dale Jr. fan. I'm like, bro, check this out. And we went back and forth in DMs, and then the next OTAs, you're like, hey, good luck in OTAs. I'm just thinking, this is crazy. Because I think everybody knows it. Like, you're one of the most, like, you don't know that you're Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Which is the coolest kind of
it's person. So cool. Then you
there's a flock of people outside just waiting to meet you.
Yeah.
There's literally, we walked up.
We're taking their time.
Yeah. Yeah, we really are.
They've been out there for hours.
I have no idea how long we've been here, but these people are like, when is he coming out?
Yeah, man. And it's just sick, dude. Like you had messaged yesterday, and JP was sitting by my phone. He was like, "What a crazy thing to see!" Just Dale Jr.'s texting you, and it's cool, man. I appreciate you, and it's fascinating that we are now on your podcast. You took time out because we did the Zoom when you're like, "Hey, whenever you want to do it, man, just let me know, and I'll find a day, and I'll come out to you guys." And that was massive by you, and super.
Well, I also got to go drink in Nashville that night, so that was kind of a fun thing for me either way.
I mean, you and Tony.
Man. Man, we left the bus. It was on.